What would you do to wake up to see that you have been living a lie? Everything you know is not the truth and the honest truth. So today we are aiming to go deep into finding out the truth behind the stories we know. And we will be, of course, involving our theologian here to try and clarify to us really what is it that we know, what is it that we do not know. And I hope you're ready to learn and unlearn and relearn some of the stuff that we are going to be sharing here. So invite your friends to invite everybody and share this information as we are about to get information. Okay, the podcast is about religion today, and we will be looking into finding out what is religion and going forth as into how it impacts us as people. So, Mr. Stebe, would you mind trying to just align us? What is religion, sir?
Yes, thank you very much, Mfethu, for the invite. Please allow me to make a disclaimer, because of there are, the issue of religion and God, the issue of deities, the issue of pure beings, the issue of Buddha, the issue of Pravan. It's one thing that you cannot really explain it through words or words only. It cannot be explained. Through the concept of ideas or other things, because of it is a very complex issue. Another thing, even its realization and its understanding, as I tend to understand it, it's one thing that it cannot be transferred into another being. One seeks revelation to understand it. So I'm just hoping, and I'm making this disclaimer because of, there are a lot of what we call spiritual leaders and teachers of religion who seem to suggest that they are deputies of God, who seem to suggest that they were deputing with God when the universe manifested. So I would really like to make that disclaimer, and I would like to quote from Sahara when he says, there is no one who owns the truth, but everyone can realize the truth. And there is no one who owns reality, but anyone can understand reality. So I do hope that today I will be basing my argument on those facts that I do not own the truth, but I have wisdom to understand the truth. I do not own the reality. The reality is there. It's for anyone and everyone to understand it. And I happen to have revelation to understand it. So yes, I think we can start from there.
All right. Hopefully, we will have revelation also to understand it today. And just going back to my question,
Yes.
what is religion? Where does it come from? Just the genesis thereof.
You see, the genesis of religion, one must understand that a religion itself was never commissioned by God, but religion, it was commissioned by man. And the evidence of that would be if God really established any form of religion or commissioned any form of religion, we would be having one religion. But then a religion itself, it was commissioned by people, by men, trying to understand maybe 2 or 3 questions. One of the questions that actually is often asked, Uguti, where do we come from? And what is the purpose of life? And where we would be exiting from. So you see, if ever, you are asking questions that no one has answered, one would think that he has an answer to the question, and then he will take one direction and the other one will take the other direction. So the religion, it emanates from those 2 or 3 questions. But where then people started to to seem to understand, and then they organize themselves. Because religion really, it's an organization of people trying to understand faith or belief. That's what it is. And yes, it predates history and faith. As I have said, that immediately when those two questions that were asked, where do we come from? Who created planet Earth, or who created universe? Then there were some people who were again acting as deputies of God, who were suggesting that they were there, who were suggesting that they seem to know that where these things started, and then these forms of religion started. But another issue which is very important that I think we need to cover is the issue of, if the religion then was commissioned by men, we can never rule out the human era. Let me just maybe make an example of it, and I will make the example basing it on two Abrahamic faiths. One which it's Islam, and one which it's Judeo-Christian tradition, Christianity per se. Let's take these two Abrahamic faiths or form of religions. One, in Islam, they read Quran, or Quran is it's their source. Okay, and Quran was really written, or even the Islamic itself religion was commissioned by Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him. But then the issue is, Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, could not write, could not read. So, but he's the one whom we all understand that he wrote a Quran. But we know that the guy was delinquent. But then the guy, the Quran was written by one guy from Ethiopia, by the name of Ibaba also. So that's the guy who wrote. Apparently, Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, was said, yes, because of I'm supposed to say that. Yes, I am supposed to. Yes, it's their religion, and I need to respect it. Right. So this guy was accordingly. God was telling Prophet Muhammad, the message, and then he will narrate it to this guy, and then this guy will write. So that itself has a human era. We can never shy away that we do not know whether whatever that God said to Prophet Muhammad is what is written in Quran.
As it was translated.
As it was translated. That's the first thing. And then let's go to the Holy Book, which is the source, yes, which is the source of Judeo-Christianity or Christianity per se. One, we need to understand that the Bible itself was written by men. I think that it's obvious. But if perhaps we may look at the Gospel of Mark, the Gospel of John, the Gospel of Luke, the Gospel of Matthew, you would find that these people, let's take for instance the issue of crucifixion. You will find that the writers or the authors of these Gospels, they say different things
about God, or
about Jesus Christ, or about the crucifixion itself, about the Passover. So that will really tell you that these people, even the authors, were not there. So you cannot really claim or claim that it is the truth, because of now you see the elements of humanity, of the elements of one person trying to shift the direction into his favor, and one will try by all means to explain it further. You see, that's one point. Another point would be that even the champion of the Bible now, Jesus Christ, part of the Bible, in fact, it was written in Greek. The original was written in Greek. But Jesus Christ himself could not read, write, even speak Greek. So you see now we have to dig more and understand that what was the motive of religion. So that's my take on the religion.
All right. You have expanded a lot and you've involved God into all this religion thing. So you're saying religion was not from God. And who's God then? Just try and
Yes,
let us.
I'm saying religion was not commissioned by God, because of we wouldn't be having more than 6,000 denominations of one religion of Abrahamic faith.
So there's 6,000.
Yeah, it's more than 6,000 the last time I checked.
Mm.
Yeah, probably today there is someone who's starting a new religion or who seems to understand God more. So then again, that question, Vetu, it's very important. The question that you have just asked: who is God? And for the benefit of this show and the audience, please allow me to use Judeo-Christianic tradition, to use Hindu tradition, to use maybe Buddhism, or even African, understanding or African theology
Who is God?
Yes, of who is God.
Okay.
Yes, because of, again, like I said to you, that it's a very complex issue, and we can never really have one answer to it. But I'm going to try to answer you point referencing using these denominations. Okay. You see, the name God, or the word, because of it was the word before it became the name. The word God, in fact, the problem that I have, it's often used in a form of authoritative suggestion, casting assertions and assumptions of high order. And most of people whom I call them trying to deputize God, they will ventilate, monarchism and supremacy using this name. But to answer your question, according to Judeo-Christianity, if we look at the book of Exodus, God appeared to Moses and he commands Moses to go tell, the children of Israel's that who is God. And then he says, if you read the book, or let me just start by the name itself, God. If you may check the translation, using the Latin language, God, the name God, it simply means the one who is. That's the direct translation, the one who is, or being, with B-E-I-N-G, being. That's the direct translation of who is God. God, the name God, it simply means the one who is. Now you would see or understand that now the issue of individualization of the character and the issue of personification of the character now begins. I am, meaning I am God. Now they seem to personify it, which is specifically this religion or Christian religion, which started to personalize it, started to personify it, started to even to superfy it, making it that their God now was a supreme God, was the God of the gods. That's why we have to go and really analyze the word itself. Like I said, that the word God, it simply means the one who is, the one who is greater. You can say anything, but yes, but the explanation or the interpretation of it from the Latin word, it simply means the one who is. That's my understanding, or that's the understanding of who is God, or what is God. According to Christianity. That is how it's supposed to be. But I want our audience and you as well to underline what I have just said, that the word God, it simply means the one who is, or being, as we are called spiritual, human beings, or spiritual beings. So that word itself, being, it simply means
We are.
God.
Mm.
Right. I just want us to park it there. Then let's go to the Hindu tradition.
Mm.
You know, I've studied Hindu. I've studied a Christian religion and Buddhism.
Mm.
You said the explanation of now the Hindu religion, it's more fascinating.
Mm.
One Indian teacher, who was teaching Hindu, he says, or the teaching, even though it's got a lot of interpretation itself, but the direct translation of who is God, it simply means self.
According to the Hindus.
According to the Hindus, the word God means self.
Okay.
And the teacher there, Sir Ramana, he explains it further. He says, you need to look at yourself in the mirror, and what you see, you're gonna see yourself, and there is God. Or obviously they are using, a Hindu term, Brahman, which simply means God or self. But now you need to also underline that word, that according to Hindus, or Hindu tradition, the word God simply means self. It's the reflection of who you are. And they are basing that on the fact that we as human beings, we have every capacity and capability to initiate things, to manifest things, to give life. So they are saying, if you really understand and realize who you are, then you are God. Then it's according to the Hindus. So again, you can now see the parallels that one on the Christian denomination, they are saying the word God, it simply means being, or the one who is, which now there is an issue of monarchism, there is an issue of supremacy. But here, with the Hindu explanation, it says the word God simply means self. The true reflection and realization of who you are is God. Okay. And then the other one, which again it's very interesting, and I seem to align with it. The explanation of Buddha.
Buddhism.
Yes, of Buddhism.
Okay, what do they say?
They say God is mentality. They say God is mind. They say they are using, the school of thought there, it's Chittimatra, which simply means, being aware or being knowledgeable in terms of mind. That's Chittamatra. They're using another word which explains it even further, which it's Venanada, simply means consciousness. So they are saying God is everything that mind manifests. So in a nutshell, or in conclusion of your question, I would say God is everything that we see.
Okay, just before you conclude, I'd like you to go into our African perspective.
Okay.
What do we define God as?
We do not have, one way of defining God, because of, you must remember, we only understand the Abrahamic God, or the God of the Jews, or the God of the Hebrews, the way he was introduced to us. So we are very much aligned to the Western ideology of who is God, the one who is the superior God. That's how we seem to understand God. And I'm not blaming anyone, because of that's how God was, or the idea or the concept of God here in South Africa, or in Africa mostly. The Westerns introduced their God as the only God
That's
who
okay.
exists. Yes, I think we will deal with it if we touch the introduction of religion and God in
Yeah,
Africa and in our shores particularly.
Okay. You were saying Christianity was introduced to us as South Africans or Africans by the colonizers, which are the West and
Yes.
so how was it introduced and why was it introduced to us? As I think about 80% of us
Yes.
or more are Christianity by force or
Yes. Yes. I think we would go back to what I've just said, that surely there are motives of why religion itself was initiated, because of, we cannot deny the fact that it was initiated by men. So one of the reasons would be to control people. Yet perhaps they would give, a very valid reason and say was to unite people. But really, under the banner of religion, Christianity on its own, you must go and read the Bible, and you would understand the genocide, the atrocities that took place. At some point, God flooded the earth, and it killed more than 3.2 million people. You must check, the wars, the battles, one fighting to prove that his God or her God is far superior or far better than the other one. So that itself, it would really then bring us to a conclusion that there was a motive by whites to introduce the Western idea of who is God. One was to control us, and definitely was to instill fear to us. And secondly was to strip us the powers that ourselves we are semi-gods or we are gods. But then it really shifted the responsibilities that we had and the power, the authority that we had on our own as human beings now. And then we shifted it to the superpower, to the unknown power, so that itself, it would be easy that if perhaps I slap you, instead of retaliating, then you will simply say, no, uNkulunkulu uzombona. If I steal your things, then you will never come back to say, but why are you doing this? You will never fight back, but instead you will leave it to the hands of God. So by them doing everything to us, repeatedly so, and we wouldn't do anything, because of now we had this understanding that thou shalt not kill, yes, and then we had this understanding of Jesus Christ teaching that if someone slaps you this side, and then you must give him the other side. So that's what it actually did in really, because of, again, it's the issue of the church, it's the issue of the Romans, it's the issue of French Revolution, it's the issue of the Greek philosophy, which really now influenced the world, and really they promoted, this deity of the Hebrews, God, and then they gave us their understanding of who is God. Yet they did not give us, an exact explanation or answer that who is God, that God is he's the quantum of energy, that God is a cumulative what you call of consciousness, that God is everything that we touch, everything that we see. But they personified God and made God this superior being who who oversee us, over control us, who gives life, who gives us everything. And by them doing that, obviously, they really relegated to nothing but statues.
Mm. Yeah, as we learn, guys, be ready to unlearn some of the things that you think you know are right and relearn new things. All right, you are saying that the religion was introduced to us by the Christianity that came with the colonizers.
Yes, Christians.
So you're saying also that it was aimly to control us.
Yes.
So what is the distinction, if there is, between religion and politics, if they mix in some?
You say religion itself, politics are commissioned to control people.
Mhm.
And religion, I'm saying it was controlled, it was commissioned to
Control.
obviously control people.
Mm.
You see, so really there is no difference in it because of, again, if you check, the issue of Jesus Christ, you'd understand that even Jesus Christ said, give Caesar what belongs to Caesar.
Mhm.
Now you'd understand that he simply interferes to the governance of the world, to the economy. Then he says people must pay tax. You see, and he approves it. And then the issue of tax, the issue of governance, it's politics. But Jesus was part of it. And even in his stead, you'd understand that they took him to the Roman Empire, who was the governor at the time, to say, okay, this is the person who has done 1 and 2 and 3, and then obviously the Roman Empire now had to rule, you see. So there is a connection, or it is one thing, you see. As you even check even in South Africa, or in most of African countries, you'd see that, we celebrate holidays like your Easter holidays, like your Christmas, which is a religious or a Christian holiday, to be honest. But then this is really it has been endorsed by our government. So religion and politics is one thing. It's merely to control people, nothing else.
All right, as we are unboxing ourselves from the box that we find ourselves into, we have started with our first segment, which is to find the genesis of the topic. So we will move now to the second stage of the show, where we find the current situation, the status quo of our topic currently. And COVID has done a lot of eye-opening for us, and a lot of churches closed. People got to see what the status quo of the churches are. So as we are going forward, is there a continuation of this religion going forward or currently?
You said that you are bringing another important element to this topic, the issue of the church. Now, before we even go to the current status of the church, we need to look at the responsibilities of the church, or what the church was supposed to do, or what the church is supposed to do currently. Then we may again go to the sources of religion, the Holy Book itself. And then you'd understand that the responsibility of the church in the community was not to take but to give, which it's very different to the current situation.
So now they are taking.
Yeah, now it's they are taking. The responsibility of the church was to feed the poor, to feed the widows, to feed the orphans, to give teachings, to give comfort, guidance, to give guidance, to give light. That was the responsibility of the church. years ago or centuries ago. But now the issue is very different. The issue is now about commercialization. The issue is it's more about um, the spiritual leader or the leader of the church controlling you, controlling your family, dictating on how are you supposed to raise your own family, because of you understand that even more especially in these religions that we have point referenced on, even women in church were not allowed. But you go to any church in South Africa now, you see that 80% of the attendees are women, which again it's against certain traditions or the original part of the church, or where the church was going in the beginning. So really the issue of religion now, it's something else, because of, again, we did not have the capacity and revelation to even check that the leaders that we have currently are anointed. Because of you'd find that just someone who maybe, or who did not even study theology, who does not even have a revelation, you will simply go and open a church. That's why you see the criminality that is happening in the church. It's very, I do not have words to explain it.
So we are very vulnerable. Right?
Yes, we are vulnerable, and people are pushing their own motives and agenda using the name of the superpower, because of now they've noticed that what the religion did, it did to us. It like I said, that it really stripped us and left us naked, in a sense that now we seem to understand, or we seem to consume anything that people say. We seem to shift the blame, we seem to shift the responsibilities that we have and the powers that we have, that was bestowed to us by the superpower, that ourselves we are doers, ourselves we can do things, we can produce, we can give life, we can do 1 and 2, but then we have shifted that to the unknown force. And if someone then comes and say, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to be the middleman, I have powers, to ask whatever that you want on your behalf from God.
I'll ask for you.
I will ask for you
instead of you asking for yourself.
So that's really a mockery of religion itself.
Yeah, we are learning. We are willing to learn, and we will learn as we wake up into this realization that everything we know may not necessarily be the truth. So we are moving to the other segment now of the show. Do you see this religion going forward or existing in the near future?
Better no, and no. You see, like we have you have said that. COVID itself, it has really showed us that some of the things that have been said to us, because of people, the deputies of God, who were proclaiming this and that they have powers, they have superpowers to deal with sicknesses and all that. Some of them, died. They couldn't even save themselves from this pandemic. So now I guess, and again with the shows like this, and people now are really starting to question things. People are more educated. People now, they seek to they want to know more. So I think it will perish, Mfowethu.
In the near future.
Yeah, it will perish.
All right. As people are now questioning everything, I understand religion. You're not allowed actually to question.
No. Remember even the 10 Commandments. Ungaliphathi ngezi igama likaNkulunkulu wakho.
So you can't question.
No. In actual fact, we have sinned. Ungaliphathi nezi igama likaNkulunkulu wakho.
So we are sinners.
No, we'll pray after the show.
All right.
Ask for forgiveness.
Ask for forgiveness. All right. Just to be light now, because we've been too deep too much.
Yes.
For our listeners, is there heaven? Is there such a thing as heaven?
Yo, you see, Fetu, again, you know that question. It's often asked, and I will answer it in this way. One, is the issue of really, which denomination or which relation you follow. You know, because of, in my understanding, there is no city called heaven, because of, again, we need to understand the geographical aspect of everything that has been written in history, even the Bible. You know, if we speak about the Kemet, the Egypt, the Egypt, we need to go and see that there is a place that it's Egypt. You know, if we speak about, Canaan, we need, at least we have a geographical location called Canada. So you see, these are at least they are the evidence that these things maybe existed. So the issue of heaven, as you are asking, it's again the issue of personification of God, giving this deity supreme powers, that he does not dwell with us, but he dwells somewhere where it's sacred, and that it's heaven. And then again, that explanation, which really I cannot really say there is heaven or there is no heaven, because of, again, there are believers of this religion who believe that there is heaven. But again, if there is heaven, as they are claiming that God himself is an administrator of heaven, then that would simply mean there is hell again. Yet you will now find very controversial ideas about heaven and hell itself, that who really controls heaven, who really controls hell, because of, according to my understanding, the devil, he never killed anyone. You understand? And how is it possible that if you do not follow the teachings, or you do not obey the teachings of God, you do not go to heaven, you go to hell? But then, who is the owner? Who is the administrator? Who controls hell? Because of, it cannot happen that your child misbehaves here, but instead of dealing with your child here, you're sending him to Kwastem, to the neighbor. So the concept of heaven and hell, it's neither here or there.
You don't believe in that?
I don't believe in it.
Or at least theologians.
No, you see, like I said, that there are some people who believe, who are Christian theologians now, who are Christian theologians who believe that there is heaven. But really, can we really prove there is heaven? It's difficult to prove.
You can't, no?
Yes.
All right, because of we are in Africa, my guy, I want us to dwell now into the African religion, or if ever it's called a religion. What did we believe in before Christianity was enforced unto us or imposed unto us?
Okay. Well, it's the topic on its own,
Mm.
but you see, one Africa has had kingdoms,
Mhm.
different kingdoms. The kingdom of Mapungubwe, I mean, far north in Ethiopia, in Egypt, I mean, in southern hemisphere, at least. Um, so please allow me to deal at least with the southern part of Africa.
Yeah, calm down.
Yes, we had our own African gods,
Mhm.
and we had, let me put it this way, we had our own African super force.
Not God. Yes.
I want to, yes, I don't want to use that word because of that word itself. It was introduced to us, or maybe I can say we had our own understanding of who God is. I think that's the better version of it.
Yeah.
We had our own understanding of who God is. We understood ukuthi there is unomkhumulwane or unomkhumulwane. We understand ukuthi, we understood ukuthi kunomvelinqangi. You know, we understood ukuthi there is God of the light. You know, even the other I mean the other races, or not the races, the other group, ethnic group, they would call him Ramasedi, meaning the father of the light. So really we had our own gods. You know, but obviously the information they will tell you ukuthi it's not correct because of it was not documented. Yet some of the information was documented, but you know what happened with the issue of colonization and French Revolution. You know, part of our history, which really we would really use it as reference, was taken from us. I believe it's in somewhere in the museums in Greece and in France. So
our own books.
Yes, our own books, because of we had our own way of really understanding ukuthi uNkulunkulu bewubani, or the way that we understood ukuthi who is God, you know. So it was really removed. Some of the information was destroyed. So we can now really, so we ended up relying on oral consultation, which again it's an issue ukuthi you can never verify it. You know, and these vessels are very old now. Some have perished, you know. So that is my understanding. But yes, in Africa, or in the southern part of Africa, we had our own gods, or our own way of understanding who God is.
All right. As our president is continuously giving praise to the West, do you think there will ever be a time where we get our information back, that Bible or whatever it is that we...
Yeah, unfortunately, we in Africa we have a serious problem of really aligning to the West, and this information, it's really needed. We need this information so that at least as theologians, as philosophers, at least we can have, evidence to point reference what we are talking about. But the information, I'm not too sure that maybe our current president can do justice in terms of bringing what we need. Because for me, before he even goes and bring that information, the documents and whatsoever, in terms of our history and so on, I think he just needs to bring our wealth. He just he needs to convince the West. No, the West to bring back our gold and our treasure that they've stolen long time ago, using the name of God, yes, and Christianity.
All right. We are learning every day, and in order for us to try and get those gold back and get those information back, to try and refill this cup of ours and make sure that we know what we are believing in, we go back to what we were believing in. Just subscribe and make sure you like us and make this thing go viral so that we can be able to find the true African way of praising our superpowers. You said not God, ne? Superpowers.
No, I just prefer to use that that term.
All right, yeah. Thank you for liberating us, Mr. Stebe. We're very grateful for having such people like you into our lives, into our shows.
Yes.
And going forward, what do you think maybe can be done to make sure we go back to our African ways and capture our people?
It's very easy, Puti. It's very easy. I think we need African leaders. We need people who are gifted spiritually. You know, we need to have people being taught, people being told the truth about where we come from. You know, so I think we need to access more information from our elders. You know, we need to read more so that we understand where we come from. But again, we need to do that in an African perspective, not to do it in trying to understand the Western God in an African way. But I'm saying going forward, we really need to understand or even stage who is our God, or what is our understanding and our way of worshiping God. So that would be, for me, that would be a way forward, and I think it is possible.
It is.
It is.
It is indeed. I also believe so. Okay. What do you think should happen to those Christian churches, as I believe there's more land given to those churches as it was funded and promoted?
Yeah.
What must happen to those churches?
Yeah, you say in South Africa, Veto, the one of the easiest business is to open a church. One of the easiest way of shielding yourself from the authorities, if you happen to be on the other side of the law, is to open a church. Because of the constitution of South Africa, unfortunately, it protects, religion. It protects, the men of God. You know, so it's easier for you to do your shenanigans or whatever. You know, shielding yourself in the name of religion, or in the name of the church, or in the name of God. So really, I do not understand why people should really be forced, you know, or even connived ukuthi they need to support churches. They need to, because some people, they don't even understand that some of the churches, they even get funding from the government. Yes, government funds people, funds the church. You know, government, it's doing a lot of things. You know, as you were saying, that it also give. Yeah. The land to the church. You know, yes. So I think we need to revisit the law. We need to revisit the constitution and really check. I understand that there was a commission that was busy doing that. After it was very evident that the so-called spiritual leaders were really misusing their status.
All right. There is a Bible, I believe, that the Christians are believing in. Is there any truth in the Bible where us Africans are stating something that is aligned to us? What is our religion? What is our connection with the Bible as Africans?
Well, I well, the connection of at least Africans in the Bible, I will mention only two countries.
Mm.
I will mention Ethiopia, Nubia, which is it's in the Bible, and
Okay.
yes, and I will mention uh, Kemet, Egypt, which is also mentioned in the Bible. And yes, there are figures like the Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba, she was from Ethiopia, and then it is written in the Bible that she traveled to to the east or to Israel to learn more or to understand, the wisdom of Solomon. So apart from that, really, there's nothing more tangible that is mentioned about Africa or about black people in the Bible, except that, when during the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, the guy who was carrying the cross, he was a black man, which again, I do not understand the importance of it.
The color.
Yes, I do not understand. No, not the color of Jesus Christ. The color of the guy who was carrying the cross for Jesus Christ. Remember, Jesus Christ, he couldn't carry the cross because of he was beating or whatsoever. So, I think really, as Africans, we need to start writing our own Bible, to be honest, and not be jealous of these Western guys who wrote their Bible.
Try to steal it.
No, we mustn't try to steal it. We mustn't even try to understand it. And unfortunately, I'm a Bible scholar myself, but again, I feel, for me, because I understand that book, I'm a Bible scholar, but I feel, Uguti, it is now time for African intellectuals to start writing our own book, so that because there is also this movement of people trying to understand the Christianity, trying to understand God in an African way, and for me there is no such, because people now are even fighting that Jesus Christ was black. For me, that is not important.
Not relevant.
The color of skin is not important.
It's not
what is important to me is, did he have any impact into Africans? And the answer to that is no. That's why you see the Indian people, they are okay with Buddha, with their Hindu, because of these people, they understand, at least from their perspective, like I've mentioned before, they are not misguided. They understand that God is true self. God is the realization of who you are. Then I'm saying we need to advocate that we have our own way of understanding who God is, instead of really trying now to Africanize the concept of God, yet we understand fully that it's very Western and foreign to us. So how do you understand something that is very foreign to you, and then you try to understand it in an African way? For me, it's absurd.
All right, so you are saying, in order for us to find ourselves, our African beliefs, we need people like Coco Credo Mutua to guide us there.
True, we need to follow his teachings. We need to follow his teachings. There are people. Myself, I'm also a student of Coco Credo, and then we need people like that. We need to go and teach people because there are books, there is material, but like I said again, before even reading material for reading books. You need to understand the African spirituality. You need to have revelation because of certain things cannot really be revealed to you. I mean, through the material of books, but certain things you really need a spiritual guidance. So that's my take on the matter.
Whew, yeah, that's a mouthful right there.
Thanks.
All right, as we are closing the show, any advice for us would you like to share going forward with this religion?
Yes, I'm just going to echo my words. Muti, there's nothing wrong with the Western religion, but there's everything wrong about how it was introduced to us. And we need to start now searching ukuthi Tina really sibelivela kuphi. And then we need to start writing our own religion in our own understanding of who God is. And I think that would really give us wisdom. I think really that will assist us in most of the social ills that we are facing now, that we can't deal with it because of we really apply the foreign concept of dealing with these issues.